Hi, this is The Best of Both Nests. I wrote it, I'm Jane Clarke, and Anne Kennedy did the lovely pictures. But actually, I can't claim that the idea was mine because the idea was literally given to me. I started writing stories when I was in the library, working in the Library of Antwerp International School many years ago. And when I left, my lovely colleagues gave me this. And yeah, I looked just like that, of course, at the time. That was before I ditched the hair dye. But anyway, in it, they said that since you've been our author in residence, we feel that we should keep you inspired with suggestions for future books you could write. And so this is a whole load of suggestions that were made. Some people were working with their class to give me ideas, and other people were giving me ideas. So I wrote two of them, which have been published. I wrote more than two of them, but only two so far have been published. Jenny, you gave me the idea for this one. Thank you very much. And this one I'm reading right now. The idea was given to me by Julia and Sophia. So thank you. And also thank you, all my old colleagues. I'm going to have another look at this now I've found it again. I haven't seen it for years, and I'm so excited to look through and possibly write another story. So, The Best of Both Nests. From dawn until dusk every day, Mr. and Mrs. Stork clattered at each other. They clattered at each other so loudly that Stanley had to clatter to be heard. Storks, they clap their beaks together like this. Sometimes Stanley hid his head under his wing and wished that the clattering would stop. Then one cloudy Sunday it did. Stanley, Mrs. Stork said, Dad and I don't sing the same song any more. All we do is clatter. It's making us all unhappy, Dad said. It's best if I take off. I'm making a new nest across town. You'll live here with me during the week, said Mum, and you'll live with me on the weekends, said Dad. You'll have two nests, Stanley. I don't want two nests, Stanley said, and he clutched his stuffed frog as Dad flew away. Come back, Dad. You have to be here for Father's fly day on Friday. On Monday at school, Stanley's class began to make kites to fly with their fathers on Friday. Father's Friday is very special, said Mrs. Prance, handing out sticks and string. I hope everyone's father will come, but you could bring your mother if your father can't make it. My daddy can't come, Stella told Stanley. His nest is way down south. I go there on vacation. Two nests are better than one, we always say. Well, I say one nest is best, mumbled Stanley. On Tuesday, Miss Prance gave everyone paper and glue for their kites. My daddy's nest is lined with pink flamingo feathers, Stella told everyone. It's great having two nests. No, it isn't, muttered Stanley. One nest is best. And for the rest of the day, Stanley glowered at the sky, and the storm clouds glowered back at him. On Wednesday, Miss Prance brought out the paint pots. Stanley slashed swirls and whirls of black and blue paint onto his kite. It's a storm, and it's blowing away our nest, Stanley told Miss Prance. Storms are scary, Miss Prance told him, but they pass, and the sun always comes out again. Always? Asked Stanley. Always, said Miss Prance. That's Stanley in his picture. On Wednesday night, Mum made Stanley's favourite worm stew, but his beak quivered. It's my fault, Dad flew away, Stanley cried. I wished the clattering would stop, and it did. Not your fault, Mum said, wrapping him in her wings. We both love you very much. That evening, the wind was howling, but it was cosy in the nest, and no one was clattering. Stanley snuggled up while Mum told the story of the stork who delivered the stars to the sky. On Thursday, Miss Brant's class made tails for their kites. Stella put butterflies on her kite. Stanley put stars on his. There are lots of butterflies where my daddy lives, Stella said. My dad likes stars, Stanley told Stella. I can't wait to show him my kite. It's Fly Day tomorrow. It'll be great. You see all his stars on his kite. Stanley brought his kite home to show Mum. What lovely stars, Mum said. I hope Dad will be there in time to see them tomorrow. Stanley's feathers drooped. He'll have to fly against the wind to get here, Mum explained. He might miss Father's Fly Day. That's no good. Stanley waited, and one by one he pulled the stars off his kite. The wind blew Stanley to school early on Fly Day Friday. My dad's not going to get here on time, Stanley muttered. I wish my daddy could be here too, Stella sighed, but his nest is too far away. It's hard to have two nests, said Stanley. Sometimes it is, Stella agreed. I guess we have to make the best of it, Stanley told her. Do you want to help me fix my kite? OK, said Stella. I'll help too, said Miss Prance. And soon Stanley's kite was sprinkled with stars again. The other fathers arrived and it was time to fly the kites. But the wind howled and the sky was growing darker and darker. Everyone took off except Stanley and Stella and Miss Prance. Look at that gap in the clouds, said Miss Prance. Someone's coming through it. It's Dad, said Stanley. He made it. OK, Stanley, Dad said, it's time to fly that kite. Can Stella come? Asked Stanley. Grab hold of a wing each, said Dad. We're taking off. The storks swooped and looped across the sky, pulling their kites. Stanley's stars sparkled and Stella's butterflies danced in the sunshine. They were flying above the storm. That was great, Stanley said when they landed. Mum was waiting. Phew, she said, the last of the storm has passed. It's time to see my new nest, Dad said. Can Stella come and see it sometime? Stanley asked. Of course, said Dad, but tomorrow I'm taking you to a beak ball game. And I'll have worm stew waiting for you when you get back, said Mum. Stanley grinned at Stella. Two nests might be OK. After all, he said. And there we go. There are the two nests. And now Stanley likes both of them. The end.